Hello, hello, hello. 11, day 11. Blimey, day 11. So the printables for today are here. You will also need some decorative paper. I have a sheet of this really pants plaid. However, it is too short. If you have a proper 12 by 12 pad, it will be better. I have not done this yet, so I am not 100% sure how this is all going to work. Fingers crossed, and toes. Fingers crossed. Right, so this is the first piece that we are going to work with. So I'm just going to put these aside for a minute. I've cut them and inked them, and this main large piece I have mounted onto some cardstock. Now, this pants plaid, this is the bit that could go horribly wrong. I have got everything crossed. So I'm going to grab a ruler and my bone folder. I did do a test run of this back piece. I haven't done this bit where I'm mounting it, just to make sure it all fits. One thing I need to say is these are designed on A4 paper and I print 100%. So if I'm giving measurements, what you would need to do is print your own digital and then work out your own measurements if you're not printing 100% on A4 paper. I'm really sorry that I didn't mention that. It didn't even cross my mind that some of you are going to be printing on American paper, on US paper. So you're going to have a different size to me, and I really am sorry for those of you that got a bit confused. Now I'm just going to double check this is lined up nicely by folding each one like so. It's not a trifold. It's not a trifold. You've got two options if you've got different size paper. It's not going to be perfect along the back. So you can either embrace that and mix it up a bit, which is what I'm going to do, or you can use two sheets of the same paper. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to glue this back piece onto this piece of red checked paper. I mean, like I said, if you have one whole sheet of scrapbooking paper, it would be a whole lot better. But mine just doesn't fit, so I have to make the best of it. Now, before I can do the backs of these, I need to cut around this. That's one side done. And now I'm going to glue this onto here. It is very tricky to make sure I don't make a huge mistake on this when I'm cutting it out, because the last thing I want to do is cut that crease. Finally, I'm going to glue this last piece down. Okay, I did make a little bit of an error here, but I'm going to ink all that, so hopefully that will not show. I didn't put it far enough down to the edge. So the next thing I'm going to do is ink all of this and these creases, and I want to make sure it's really well glued. What would be a very good idea is if you inked the white before you glued your pieces on. I've done the best I can with that. It's not perfect. I've got a little bit showing down there, but I think this is going to be okay. This is kind of like hold your breath, because I'm not 100% sure this is going to work. So there are two little pieces here which are going to form a pocket on this back panel. So because I'm going to sew, I'm just going to glue 3 edges. I'm actually going to glue, because that one's a little bit shorter, so in terms of the pattern on the paper. So I'm just going to put a little bit of glue, not too much because I know it's going to be sewn. Put that into that center panel, and then this one is going to go over the top. If you wanted to take a little notch out, you can do that. I'm not going to because it's a very small pocket and they're very different types of paper, so I'm okay with leaving them as they are. There we go. Now there is some folding to be done, but I'm not going to do that until after I have sewn. So I'm going to sew around each of these as a tag shape, and I'll be back. Okay, that's not my best stitching ever. I've just inked the stitching at the back. Now this is the part that I'm concerned about because this is obviously now a lot thicker than my prototype. Okay, so you've got a line here where the papers change. I'm going to line up that line as accurately as I possibly can. I got this idea from a Christmas card in Clinton's that I saw at the weekend, and I'm just going to fold here. Now I'm going to fold that backwards on itself, and hopefully everything is going to line up reasonably well. Okay, so it's going to do that. Oh, fingers crossed. I hope you've all got things crossed too, please. And then I'm going to do exactly the same on this other side. Fold that in and then fold that back, and this is where we're going to start to get the issues from the papers being glued and a bit thick. And that one has not gone terribly well. Okay. That one looks fine. This one not so much. So now I'm going to do it this way. Slowly push that against there, and then hopefully this will. Okay, let's have a look. We've got a little gap. I'll show you my test one. Where did it go? Here we go. This was my test, and before there was paper in the middle, that meets perfectly. But obviously now we have a little gap, but it's okay because we're going to cover this up slightly. Okay. That's not bad. That's still quite cute, isn't it? This piece we are going to add to the centre here. But what I want to do is only glue here. Now, it's going to be a little bit tricky, and I know that. I know it's going to be a little bit tricky. So let me have a little think. What's the best way to do this? If I hold this in place and turn that over, I'm going to put a little line down here. Okay. Now, I've got another scrap of paper. I'm just going to straighten this edge up. So you can obviously make this a lot easier if you want to. It's my choice to have made this a little bit more complicated. I'm just making sure I'm going to add the paper to the right side here. So I'm going to glue up my line. Just give that. Just need to trim that very slightly. And I'm going to ink there. Okay, now I know where I want to glue. So I'm going to glue this section here. Still holding my breath, but I'm starting to kind of run out of time to get everything done in advance. So I just didn't have time to do a test of the whole product, which I don't normally do. I can usually tell digitally whether things are going to work. But you know, sometimes it doesn't happen the way you hope. Line that up. Okay. We have something that resembles what I was hoping for. I'm sorry the gap is there, but like I said, in the test, it fits pretty perfectly. It's just because, sorry, that's my daughter home. It's just because we've lined this now and it's a lot thicker than it was before. Now, very straightforward, this next part. I've just mounted this on that cardstock. I'm going to glue that onto my pocket here. Let's close that. I was going to put this across and then cut it, but because we now have that gap, that's not really going to work. So what I'm going to do, I think, is I'm going to glue it right up to that stitching, so you can see there will be a little bit of the text showing. There we go. So far it's not too bad. Now you may remember I said we would come back to this. I've mounted this on a piece of cardstock and that is now going into my back pocket. And then I have two little pieces here to go into this little front pocket. Okay, I've also got this spare, so that's going to go into my little box. You could add it here if you wanted to. So now I need to find my number. There's not enough number ones in my little set. There's number 11. I think I'm going to have it fairly low. Okay, and the last thing is we need to come up with some kind of closure. So I've got some seam binding here, and what has just arrived is my Festive Berry ink, which I am going to ink this. But for now, I'm going to have to use it as it is, just for demonstration purposes. Now, what we can do is we could, if I grab my little box of bits and bobs that are left over. I think I'm going to add this to the back. So I'm going to ink this. Add a little bit of ink to the actual tag as well. Now, the best way, I suppose, I'm going to add a little bit of glue along here. To anchor that into place. Maybe a little bit more. And then I'm going to glue the back of the label. And I'm going to hold that down for a moment just to make sure that grabs. Okay, so that's on there. That's not going to go anywhere. we haven't done a tie closure as yet. And obviously, spot the deliberate mistake. There is no way I can dye this now because it's attached. So it's attached to my piece. But, you know, the cream looks good. The cream looks good. So I'm going to tie that and just cut off these extra bits. They'll get used. And that is our day 11. I hope you like it. Just show you one more time so it will untie and then it folds out like so. Right, let's put this in our box. Day 11. Oh my days. Okay. Oh, it looks so lovely now. It's really getting full. I will be back on the 12th tomorrow. Yeah. And I'm really starting to struggle now with ideas of something that is different. We might have to revisit some of the, you know, this something similar. So I might do a straightforward tag or something. I'm not sure. It will be something pretty and Christmassy anyway. So, and lastly, I just want to say an absolutely massive thank you to everybody who has been supportive in the Facebook group and on YouTube. The coffee's marvellous. Thank you so much for your support. It is really appreciated, especially as we're not actually doing anything for the shop at the moment. Thank you so much for your support. I will be back. Take care. Enjoy your crafting and I will see you soon.